Peace.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, Issa?
Taylor, man. How you doing, brother?
Chilling. I was gonna ask you a question. What is your opinion on the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution? Is one thing like a skewed version of another, or that's the situation where they say that we have two constitutions? Can you elaborate on that?
It's just the basis of a company. It's the bylaws of the company. Like you have like the mission statement, and then you have the bylaws.
But is the company the United States of America the thing that gave us the Constitution? Because I know the Articles of Confederation is what they did when they decided to unite all the states, right?
Well, right, because the states needed a document that was the initiation for their coming together to create the United States to represent all the states internationally. So the United States is on, like, check this out. You know how like the CIA can operate against like foreign countries?
Yeah.
Well, like, all the states are separate from the United States and are considered to be foreign countries.
Oh no, I trust me. I understand the
Yeah,
whole.
yeah, yeah. Right.
The,
Oh,
the
forgive me.
the people that are not nationals are considered to be foreign because they're supposedly not part of America and part of the
Well,
corporation.
well, watch your terms, because it's like not part of America. Like that's why America is such an ambiguous lawyer term, because it really means nothing legally. Whereas, like, as a United States citizen, that's one thing. As a state citizen, that's one thing. But the Articles of Confederation, I think, are the idea that the states were, kind of like pledging themselves to be represented by this particular entity called the United States of America. Because the United States is strictly it's supposed to have no authority in the states and merely represent the states, which are really their own countries, internationally. That's it. It's just that and that's why like they've just abused that.
And the way they make it seem like international is like Europe or Africa, when
Oh,
really
yeah,
international is the same people from here that are simply not registered to their company.
yeah, register. Well, register. Like, here's the thing, though, is that as a United States citizen, that's why you're considered an enemy of the state, because the United States citizen is a foreigner that has residence in the state. That's why they need a license to do everything, because they're classified as an enemy of the state because of the bankruptcy. That's why
I mean, the
19.
the trickery with the words, bro. I mean, it's crazy. Like there was a time that I did not understand. Why would you need more than would you need more than one word to explain one thing? And now I understand is that in order for you to take over, right, you have to come up with new words and new terms to get people to think that they mean exactly what they used to mean, but now I've added an extra definition that somehow ties you to my corporation.
Well, here's the thing: is it's like it's, but here's also that same kind of capacity that they use to destroy like the people. You also have the same right, and you just have to have a sound understanding of what your legal rights, like not legal and lawful rights, are, and in what capacity you're going to execute your rights. Because not is it like, instead of trying to I think what we forget is like the idea of having a state citizen and a United States citizen. Like, these are just titles, and it's like that's not the fight to be made. Like, because people are going to say, well, I'm a state citizen, not a United States citizen. Like, when it really comes down to it, this is why I think, and I've always kind of talked about, and I know it sounds fucking out there, but seeing as it says in God we trust everywhere, in the court and on the money and the rest of it, it's the idea that you're not arguing about whether you're a United States citizen or a whatever citizen, because that's that lawyer rhetoric. Your position is you're coming in there in the name of God, right? As am I not the son of Adam? In that way, but you're not saying that. You're saying it in their language. Their language, the UCC kind of defines that position as a priority security interest holder. And that priority security interest holder has rights over these things. But he isn't those things. Because why would I want to be a United States citizen? How could I be? Like, logically, we have to, like, this is why they've removed religion. It's like our nation's founded on like Christianity, this idea of like, who are you? Well, you're a spirit from God. That's the doctrine, right? So to say you're something other than that and not to recognize it as a vehicle for business is to be, is to show ignorance. And that's how they can get away using these words. It's not that we have to change the game, it's that we have to up our intelligence to play this game, in my opinion. And I don't think it's like, I don't know. It's just how I see it, brother.
Bro, there's really no clear answer or anyone out there with all the answers, and the people who know the most don't want to tell you the truth. And the
Why
people who
would
know the
they?
most about the system keep that information to them. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the nature of playing a game, a competitive game. You're not going to give your opponent an advantage. You're going to keep your advantage,
I look at it like this. It's like if you have like a favorite fishing spot, you don't tell everyone. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, man.
Like, these are
Exactly.
like, and it's nothing, it's not even something that's even like a disrespect. It's like, it's like a nod of the cap. It's like when you finally get it. And like, it's not about, it's like it has to be kept hidden because, God knows if you revealed where all the freshwater springs are in the world, Poland Spring would be up their ass. You know what I mean? Like, it would destroy it. So it's like flat Earth. It's like, that's my opinion is that, they know it's flat. It's just they got to keep the knaves going on the ball. You know what I mean? Like, they got to
I,
perpetuate that
I agree
because it
with that
keeps the fishing.
100%. I agree with
And
that.
it like,
Listen, they have to. They have to. The way I see it is, bro. Not everybody is mentally prepared for whatever their dreams are, right? So if it's like take the idea of giving people reparations. What hypothetically, let's just say they approve and they get everybody reparations, right? What would happen? Fucking Nike and Adidas and fucking Gucci will be getting tons of money because it's not like people all of a sudden are gonna get smarter with their money, right? They're gonna do the exact same shit because they're not ready. Their mind is not ready. Their mind is not ready to receive this blessing. So I understand why these people that we call evil, that they have to like guard the system, because ignorant motherfuckers would destroy the system. And as far as I can understand about the system, it seems to be the best that we can derive from years of civilizations crumbling and rebuilding. And whoever these people that rebuild civilization, they're probably taking notes. Don't do this again. Don't do this again because it fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So whatever system we got is most likely
Amen, bro.
the best shit that we're able to figure out. So to destroy would just be ignorance.
Preach, bro. Fucking preach. It's so fucking true because it's like this system entails like the best of all the governmental systems that ever existed, including African systems, including of like the idea of the the arrows all being held together in the eagle's claw, the 13 arrows, because they can't, like, because it's like an old Indian proverb of like, you know what I mean, you can break one arrow but you can't break like a bundle of arrows.
100%. You know there are
You know what
people
I
out
mean?
there. There are people out there that study maps, bro. Now, if there were no mysticism to these things, you're telling me there's gonna be a whole bunch of people studying maps? What did one person find in a map that was so interesting that he had to study it, bro? I mean, the thing is, I think it's right in our faces, but we've been so blinded by it since our birth, right? Bathe in sin. We like the Bible said that we're born into sin. We're born into it, so we have no ability to see it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting. Like, I always am amazed at like how like a little bit of like like proper legal rhetoric with the correct etiquette, how far that can actually get you. Like, I'm always amazed at like just how like having the proper decorum and the proper language and the proper understanding and application of your rights goes like extremely far, especially when you can like face all the accusations of like, I had like, cops run up in my face. What are you, one of those fucking state citizens? Da, 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 da. And, and I'm like, and why would you think that? And do you have a genuine accusatory charging instrument for my inspection? You know what I mean? Because they have to provide a fucking charging instrument. And if they don't provide a charging instrument, then that's a deprivation of rights under the color of law. And that's not me making up the rules. And if the cop says, I don't know what you're talking about, well, ignorance does not absolve you of the law. Where's the judge? Because the judges are the smartest motherfuckers. And once they see what you've done to them, and then you're giving them a way out because you understand their system, because you're motioning for a dismissal, not some fucking pay schedule fee. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you earn their respect, man. Like, I don't even know, man. Like, it's weird. Like, I had a whole weird interaction down it was actually in New Hampshire, and it was just a wild interaction with the court system and all this kind of poetically beautiful shit, actually. And I've never had a problem ever since with officers. Like, I've always been. Well, I don't know what to say. I don't know. I feel like they put it on your record almost. Like, hey, this dude's not really. I don't know, because they've got like, I'm sure like they've got people that are like, this is a sovereign dickhead. And when they
Dude,
fucking
I'm pretty
like
sure they
comes up
have
on the.
notes. They have notes, and every time they stop us, right? Like let's say if you're in like your vehicle, whatever, when they run your vehicle, there's probably like little notes that say, "Hey, man,
Yeah,
this guy, yeah." Like they have to
of
have those
course.
kind of things.
Right. Why wouldn't they? You know what I mean? Like, shit. I remember, dude, like, fucking, when I was first learning about, I had this whole experience. I've talked about it for fucking, when I first came out here quite a bit. And, years ago. And, like, the idea of, like, it's like, dude, they drew up some of my old history that I was like, it was just crazy. You know what I mean? Like, they had, like, all the info on you. And it was just interesting. And I was an ignorant idiot, and I went to jail for 3 days for my rights, right? But I did my thing, and I fucking actually earned the respect of these officers. It was a crazy cool fucking story, man. And the judge was fucking beautiful and amazing. And And had I had more intelligence and more experience, I would have, I think, really conquered it. But when you're in the fucking, I don't know what to say. I got out and it was awesome, but it's a long story.
So what do you think about this idea, right? I don't completely understand it, right? I am aware of it, if that makes any sense, but I can't put the pieces together yet, right? I'm getting there. I read, but I still can't see the bigger picture. What do you think if like the regular person like tr- um trademarks their face, their voice? How about even like,
Totally stupid.
no, but listen,
Totally.
listen, listen. So just in case you go to jail, right, and they attempt to throw a picture of you, you're like, oh, that's trademark, right? So you'll make it
Yeah,
difficult
but
for them, and
the
like your
problem,
fingerprints and all that shit.
the problem for them is that, they've already got it listed as government property. And United States citizens are not protected under the first 8 amendments of the federal Constitution. That's Maxwell v. Dow. United States citizens are not protected under the first 8 amendments of the federal Constitution, bro.
But is it a citizen? Is it a citizen or a
There,
citizenship?
you're going to be listed as, well. It's kind of a moot point, but it's like, U.S. citizen is an enemy of the state, and like, no matter how many patents you hold owned by the United States, etc. Like, plus also, I mean, like, and then you can go file UCC1 liens and put a fee schedule in the fucking whatever. That shit is retarded. All you need is exactly actually how it's set up from the gate. What I've learned is that your social security number is just to be used for banking. You know what I mean? But like, of course, they're going to want to use it for whatever. If you're going to want the privileges of a driver's license and yabba dabba do, but you can get around giving them a social security number.
There's
I've
definitely something to the name and the number, right? Because everywhere you go, every application always has name, address, and number. Name, address, and number, and always like a 9-digit number as well.
Well, I mean, like, your social is always going to be something that's like used for banking, and like that's really all it should be used for. And like, and that kind of, it's the link that shows to me that it's what granted your right and access to the credit that you can get through banking, um, by the fact that you gave them an instrument first. You gave them a, an indented deed, which is your birth certificate or whatever. And it's like a deed is, either worth land or gold. So the point is that you were given that instrument because of the Sestige v Trust set up, in my opinion, with like the Pope. Goes all the way back to Rome because of a long story. But like, because England still controls US and England is essentially indebted to Rome. And so, what the fuck point was I going to make? Oh, yeah. So, like, so there's like this instrument that's given to you because of your forefathers' conquests, you know what I mean, of the Roman Empire. So they've given you this document that is part of this thing called the Sestige Trust, which is that when you become of age, you could go to the coffers of the king and get your reward with, and that document would be your proof of that. But because of the bankruptcy, we've lent ourselves into kind of a socialism system where we've taken that document at birth and given it over to the whole system, to the government, to the Federal Reserve, to be able to monetize that, put money in the marketplace for you to go work for. And that's why, we're practicing socialism with the system. And in turn, it's my estimates that because you were the initiator, the one who gave over the document, essentially the United States owes you, the principal and the interest on the national debt. But because you're operating as a United States citizen, they're looking to you as an employee of the United States to help with the accounting of the United States, i.e., to be able to balance the books, pay the bill. If that makes any sense.
Man.
Mic check, mic check.
Yeah, man, you're there.
So is it true that I heard like this thing on video that supposedly the debt, the national debt that they constantly talk about, isn't a debt that we owe to them. It's like a debt that they owe to us, but because of our ignorance, we don't know how to claim this money. So this money is constantly just hanging around,
It's not
right?
about well, hold on. See, the problem is that people are trying to go claim it. It's not about trying to claim it. It's about absolving the United States of its need to pay you back. It's about showing forgiveness to the beast, forgiving thine enemy, turning the cheek, right? And paying the debt, unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, what if you could do it with an instrument and a pen? And they say the pen is mightier than the sword, right? And so it's like this idea that and you're going, like, there's a parable of Jesus paying Caesar with a coin that one of the apostles had to get from a fish. Like there's and like that indicates like there's this strange way of visiting the Sea of Commerce to deal with an issue, to pay a debt to Caesar. And this
I still
strange
don't
way.
get it, man.
It's all
Like,
right. Like,
you go to
well,
that national debt tally counter thing, got all the countries listed and stuff, and
right. That's because there's
you see
people
them ticking away. What does that number represent?
check it out. How many people are being born every day and they're giving over a document into the fucking system. Now the point
Don't
is
ask me questions. What does that number represent?
that number represents the amount of the collective birth certificates that are owed to by the United States.
And all the interest and all that shit accumulated over the years, people working and putting the money in the system, all that shit.
Well, like that's why they say like there's probate and stuff even with things because they're actually like they're handling this way of this kind of a balance sheet of like who's alive, and that's why like even some people think like inflation occurs or whatever. It's like when like, they say like when a baby's born they owe the government 200 and something grand already. Well, like in reality, like that baby gave over this document, and the United States looks at that baby as a United States citizen along with everyone else, and that United States citizen is technically an employee of the United States and now responsible for paying back that debt to themselves. But we're so fucking ignorant, we don't know anything about this. And like, I
Well,
guess
yeah,
I
all
mean
that's
like
happened is we've been lied to about these things, and so yeah,
well,
we don't have a flying fuck. We don't have a
well and
clue about any of it, man.
and that's why their last ditch thing is to kick the religion out, because the religion is like the original principle of this thing, because even like this nation was bound, like created by like men who thought that they would, they saw a man as to be the businessman, the attorney, the gardener, the fucking everything of the household, and that included law. And that was why it was in America. You know what? I would beg one of you even to go please pull up Gerald Brown, Cooperative Federalism, and please read the first couple paragraphs, like right now, even. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of the greatest ways to open up a little bit of a lid to this is by reading him. And when you find out who Gerald Brown is, he was a scholar, a renowned scholar, juris scholar, like a lawyer scholar, and he's like famous for doing some interview with this guy Judge Story or something like that. He did not an interview, but a book about him. Is anyone doing that or no? Because it's so good, dude. I've just read it countless times. It's like good to read it. Anyone doing that or no, Jay?
Sorry, yeah, I'm looking into something else right now, reading a little bit.
I haven't read that one. I do have the book, the Federalist Papers or whatever the fuck. I have that book. It's a giant book. I haven't read it yet. It's too big.
Well, that's like Thomas Jefferson, but I'm saying you check out Gerald Brown, Cooperative Federalism, and he just gets into how, like, what most people think about government is completely fucking ass backwards. I think it's just a great breakdown of the beginning of it. But that's why, like, I think so. Like, if you look at yourself and deem yourself as strictly a United States citizen, because you can move from capacity, right? You can be like a father, a brother, a mechanic, you know what I mean? A gardener, right? You can be all those things in the sense of what is called capacity. And like Voltaire said, it's like, I think, therefore I am. And that kind of introduces the idea that he who does not think is nothing. And like, it's like kind of like the 13th Amendment where it says there shall be no involuntary servitude. Well, that does not mean that there's not voluntary servitude, right? You signed up for it, right?
Yep, especially if they're unaware of their servitude and their slave status.
And ignorance is no excuse of the law. Ignorance is no excuse of the law. That's a maxim. So it doesn't matter how ignorant you are of the fact. If you're operating under those conditions, like, you're liable. And they don't give a fuck. Because, like I said, they're going to say, are you a U.S. citizen? People are like, yeah. You fucking, well, you're not protected under the first 8 amendments of the federal constitution when it comes down to it. That's why the cops can do whatever the fuck they want when it comes down to it. You know? That doesn't mean that there's not a way through it, though. That's what I always kind of get out of it. It's like, or I love the way I've heard it put, like, do you think God would put you in a position that you couldn't get out of? Oh yeah, fundamental. I was going to break that. Like you mentioned earlier about that number, or just like the idea about the birth certificate and shit. Like, think of it like this: when you can, like, there's certain crimes that can be committed that are so heinous that they can get triple life sentences, and that's because what they're doing is the state is monetizing the money being made off of that bond for 3 times the life cycle of that person. So it's like,
Yeah, man, it's all really strange. And what I'm looking into now is I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to find something that I heard in a video once about, like, where the Bible kind of was decreed by some sort of king of England or something like that. That, like, it is the root of the legal system, and that, like, it's
Dude,
the backbone.
listen, it is. Fundy,
Yeah,
I'm thoroughly convinced that the Bible is the manual. I think everything in life has a double-edged sword, right? There's a good and there's a bad to everything, right? So the trip with because the thing is, bro, I don't think these people could just flat out tell you, hey man, this is your salvation, right? They give us the Bible and we take it like it's religion, right? But we are completely oblivious to what it actually is, which is what I think it is the manual to the system. It's the only thing that could logically make sense to me that the Bible is the manual to the system. Because even if you are an elite, right, eventually you're going to run out of fucking family to fuck, right? So you're gonna want to put that system out there so those who are able to see can get out of the darkness, and so because you're gonna need people to associate with, right? You're gonna need family members to make more family members that are not part of your family, right? You know what I'm saying? So in order to seek out the people that are truly worthy, I think that's the whole intention of the Bible, bro. Seeking out the people that are worthy, those that are not worthy are gonna worship the characters in the Bible, like fucking Paul or fucking Mary, which are just fucking fictional characters that I think are made to convey a message.
Sure, man. Yeah, and that's a whole nother bag of worms right there to open up. I mean, the problem is that these two things, the legal system and the religious systems of the world, are infused in these esoteric and occult ways that, you know, none of us even have an understanding of one or the other, and but they're both systems are so intertwined that you'll never have an understanding of either without reaching an understanding of a total understanding of both. Because if you don't, then there's always going to be some sort of trick that someone will be able to play on you, take advantage of you, and I mean, I'm kind of sick of it. You know, it kind of grosses me out how fucking stupid and like complex this all has to be. When I feel like it could be much simpler, and it probably is to some degree, but only if you've been initiated and educated in the right way or whatever. Which
I'm
none of
beyond
us
that.
were.
I'm
When you
beyond
got
being disgusted. I actually think that we deserve it, bro. And I don't mean it in a fuck humanity way. I mean it in a we have been sleeping at the wheel for a very long time. So everything that the system is doing to us, even though it's fucked up, we absolutely deserve it for not listening to that little voice in our heads that tell us to do the right thing. Right. That's what I'm past. I'm past being angry at the system. I'm past being angry at judges, and I already see the shit for what it is. Now I'm want to understand why is it that they accept it, right? How is it that they're able to sleep at night knowing that they're fucking us over? Right? They have to have some piece of information that calms them down at night that they think about when they go to sleep. That's what I'm trying to gather.
Yeah, it's all stupid, man. It's all really stupid because I don't appreciate um, getting punished for losing a rigged game, right? Someone I'm born into this world helpless, ignorant, blank slate baby, right? And then I'm gonna be punished if I lose a rigged game. It's like fuck fuck you and your fucked up system. You're
So
gonna
funding,
punish me.
as opposed to what funding? As opposed to, let's say you don't get fucked by the system. Let's say the reality is something else, right? Could you envision a reality where you are rewarded for no reason? And where would you think that reality or that world? How ultimately would you think it would develop when people are just given everything without having to actually put in some sort of effort?
I see your point, but I feel like my point didn't come through clearly. But
yeah,
no,
I
I
think of
see
it
where you're
like
coming
this
from,
though.
man.
Yeah, Fundy, I look at it like this. It's like that anger that you feel, right? It's like, I mean, I think of it like as the impetus to go study, so that like, let's say like if in, like so that when the cherries are on behind you and you've got a lit joint in your ashtray, you know what I mean? Like you could sit there and when the officer comes up, be like, "How you doing, brother? What's the emergency?" Because you understand the potency of that question alone. And then you understand that, well, you're on, well, I'd love to, so long as you'd agree that it would be a deprivation of rights under the color of law, you know? And, I'd be happy to do whatever you want me to do. And if you understood how to play that game with these guys and took that anger into that arena, let's say, because it's hard to do because nobody's there with you, it's on the side of the road, it's scary, yabba dabba do, right? But, like, that's where it counts. And you're honorable and you're nice and like they've got really nothing for you because if they search the vehicle, they agree that it's a deprivation of rights under the color of law, etc. And then they understand that you're a peaceful person and you're not fucking out here trying to be a dick. And, you're hoping that they're going to get home safe and everyone's going to be okay. That's what I want, anyway. And that's what that anger kind of led me to, because, like, the old method was punch him in the face and run, right? So that really doesn't play out too good. And so, knowing that, right, this is the fucking healthy alternative, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Is setting yourself up for victory at a potential court date if you really were, like, because I think, like, if it's, if you're a weed head or, like, you know what I mean, like a little psychedelica, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with requesting a charging instrument and knowing how to maybe walk through the fire. But it's like, you know what I mean? But also, certain people are so emotional and so, we get so caught up in this world, this dunya. I like the way they put it. Like, we forget. And I think, like, even our language is crazy because, like, like saying I'm sorry isn't really great. Like, forgive me is biblical because forgive me indicates you're going to change your ways. Sorry is kind of like, yeah, you're going to have to put up with it. I'm a sorry piece of shit, whatever, sorry. And they're like, you're damn right. But if you're like, forgive me, that's different. I don't know. But yeah, I put in that cooperative federalism.
I understand facing the reality that I find myself, and you can't just, sit down and cry about your problems, right? I mean, be a man, deal with it, research, become wise, learn how to better yourself and get out of the predicaments and whatever, free yourself. I'm just pissed off that I'm not asking for heaven on earth. I'm just pointing out that uh, the scales at this point are so unnaturally tilted towards hell on earth, where it's like, wow, this is what I got put into, like a 90 to 10% system. It's like this ain't even. I could deal with 50-50. Like 50-50 sounds like a fucking dream, like
Dude,
I'm gonna
Fundy,
get
be
screwed
grateful
over.
that you even know about it, right? Be grateful that you
Yeah,
even understand that you're being screwed over. I could tell you, bro, my father, his father before that, at least 10 generations of my family members didn't even have a clue that they were playing a game. At least I understand it. So I can make sure that my kids will understand it and their kids understand it. So who knows? Maybe in 10 generations, my kid will be up there. You know what I'm saying? But at least I know. And I think that in itself is a blessing.
sure, that's the first step. Absolutely. Although
Also,
I don't think.
this is like a grand test, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's like even like, I don't know. Thank God, man. Is it really so hard? You know what I mean? You can go make a cup of coffee, maybe, if you want to. You know what I mean?
I don't
Like,
I don't
we
mind
live like,
sitting down and
we live
doing the
lives
work,
way cooler
reading the
than.
books, whatever. Like I don't mind the effort to like study and like better myself and have more understanding and wisdom. However, I'm really pissed off about how much they camouflage and hide and disguise the sources of truth. They muddy the waters, and like they put up 9 snake oil salesmen next to the one guy who's actually telling you the truth. And you go on YouTube, go on the internet or whatever. You're gonna have to go through all of them and hopefully have discernment enough to sort out who's telling you the truth, because they put out con artists out there to lead you astray. And so you're a lucky individual if you can find a source of truth out there, someone who can help you out, show you the way, put the right books in your hands or whatever. I don't mind doing the work. It's just finding the source of information that you can actually invest in. Well, like
But
where
isn't that a whole thing in itself? Isn't that a whole thing in itself? Like when you talk about truth, like, okay, so what if your truth doesn't matches my truth, right? Then whose truth is truer, right?
Well, hold that. Yo, do you know about Bouvier's dictionary?
Bouvier's, yeah, I've heard of Bouvier's, yes.
Fundamental, like fundamental.
No,
Do you know about
I
that?
don't know about that one.
Okay, like,
Yeah.
yo, Bouvier's law dictionary. Like, look up.
By the way, I got Black Laws and I got on Webster's.
Right. And then, Brian Blum's Contracts, Examples, and Explanations. You know what I mean? Like, there are
What
books.
was it? Repeat that last one. Repeat that last one. Or if you want, type it out in the chat so I could copy and paste it.
It's Brian Blum, Contracts, Examples, and Explanations. And I think it's spelled like it's like BLUMB or something like that. No, it might just be M. I forget. It's Brian Blum, Contracts, Examples, and Explanations. I haven't seen the book in my hands in a while.
We're dealing with that with contracts. I got Carlton Weiss. Carlton Weiss, yeah, he wrote like a book on contracts. I don't know if you ever heard about him.
No, I haven't. Well, hey, even like Fundy, if you don't mind or whatever, I put that link in for the cooperative federalism. Like, read that first little bit. It's cool as fuck. I don't know if you want to read it out loud. I just think it's such a good fucking thing. And it sinks if you read it yourself.
Yeah, I'm just chilling. You can read out loud. I got my phone screen off. I'm just sitting back.
Fair enough, man. Yeah.
Having a chat, but I'll listen to whatever, man. I'll be here.
All right, man. Yeah, dude, here, I'll read it then. Fuck you guys. Let's see here. Let's see. Things are not as they seem in American history and law. Most often people speak and write as if America is one country operating under one government that has plenary authority throughout a single nation. Most often people speak and write under the notion that any government in America, whether it be local, state, or federal, is all part of one gigantic system. The federal government is often described as both a national government and a central government. It is sometimes described as an umbrella government over the states. Conversely, the states are typically described as regions or subdivisions of the United States. History textbooks in schools and colleges, newspapers in common circulation, and other forms of media tell stories that lead one to believe that federal law supersedes state law because federal law is the law of the land and nation, and thus state law must yield to the higher authority. The problem with all this is that none of it is accurate or true to our American heritage. Every one of these positions is based on an assumed premise that is false. The result is that the American people are deceived regarding the proper role these governments are to have in their lives and acquiesce to government requests when the agents of government have no lawful authority to make the request. From its beginning, the federal government was designed to be a government of limited jurisdiction for specific enumerated purposes. But I'll leave it at that, yeah. But like this whole idea of like the federal government, and I just think like we have just such a misunderstanding of it because people will think the federal government supersedes state government, etc.
Yeah, I see the point. I'm aware of that already. Somehow, I don't even know where I got that from, but yeah, I'm aware of that.
So when you think of Aesop, I heard this guy called Patrick Devine talking once, and he said that we are the federals, that the people is what's called the federal people. That these usurpers created a federal corporation that everybody thinks that they are the government, but in reality, what is considered federal in court papers and stuff is actually we the people.
Well, like the problem is that like because of real history, right? I.e., like the United States may not have won the Revolutionary War, and there was like a debt created, and then the payment for that debt came up during the.
Here we go, huh? Everything you know is a lie. We live in an upside down world.
Well, I mean, it's just like this is history, man. Like I
know, and you're right. You're right, man. I'm just saying.
And my point with the first kind of understated statement is like, who writes a treaty, man? The winner, right?
Yeah,
of
yeah,
of a
sure.
war, right? So when the King of England wrote the Treaty of Paris, 1783, that ended the fucking thing, and in the first paragraph calls himself the King of the fucking United States.
Yeah,
So like,
I see your point. Yep.
so what fucking happened was, like, the genius of our founding fathers was that they created the fucking corporation to be able to put the fucking the debt on.
And that's what I'm saying. That
So
they
like,
didn't create the system to screw us over. They create what the system is. What the system is what I think these people that figure out the system, the Bilderbergers, these all these elites, these people have figured out the system, and that's why they live the way they live. I think that the family and old money, I think those are just stories that they have to tell us. They have to tell us that these people come from old money, because they can't tell us that these people figured out the system and now they're fucking millionaires. They can't tell you that, because then we're gonna be aware that there's a way to fucking do it.
well, despite that, like even like, let's get into that idea of the corporations, right, and where that comes from. So you have, like, this initial, like, corporate, like, kind of this corporation of the United States, which takes on an international loan, which is 70 years, right? It goes into place 1790 fucking whatever. It's when the Constitution and everything was ratified, right, or whatever the fuck. So 70
Well,
years after
already
that,
way over my head, you know.
well, 70 years after that, right, after that everything was legitimized, the United States, and Great Britain were at peace, right? Oh, check this one out. In 1812, you know, the United States tried to say in their thing that they would have no titles of nobility be members of Congress or the House, right? Well, fucking England came and burned down the White House, half of it.
Okay.
And the reasoning for that is that because an esquire is an attorney, which is a title of nobility, and they had to be able to run the Congress, run the whole show.
So just another lie then,
Well,
or
not
what?
just terms of lie. It's just right out in the open. It's just people aren't familiar with the fact that esquire is a title of nobility, and the U.S. tried to make a big deal about it and say, "Hey, no, like they were basically saying, hey, we agreed to be at peace, but we don't want your fucking esquires up in our fucking Congress while we're making decisions. That's fucked up, right?" And they're like, "No, it's how it goes." And they came down and burned half the fucking White House.
And then
And then they carried on with the fucking 70-year debt agreement that was already in play.
so they're getting
And
away
fucking
with a lie, or what?
so in 70 years, right? Fucking Abraham Lincoln sitting at the helm. Fucking he tries to put a tax on the South because they're making so much money, and because they owe on this national debt. So so what do you call it? There's like this dilemma of like, okay, he's got to put a tax on the South to pay this national debt, and he's got to freaking so the South refuses to give over, to give up the prop, like, right? Because think of it, they go like this: we want your property to pay for this debt. Well, the property was the slave, and so they said, "You're going to give us the property," and they said, "No, we're not." And so they went to war and they decimated the South and they created the United States citizen. So the first slaves, they had no state citizenship, so they were given United States citizenship. And the United States used that as collateral to be able to fend off the national debt issue. So they created a new line of credit. At that time, Lincoln saw what was going on and thought to himself, wait a minute, I can make my own fucking money. I don't need the fucking whatever.
That's why he created the
And they said
greenback.
to him, and they said to him, hey, there's a 70-year contract, dude, with England, bro. And he's like, dude, that's bullshit. We don't have to do that. We're fucking America. So they shot him in the fucking head, right? And carried on their merry way and created the United States. And that's where the corporation comes in, because the first executive orders, like it became a military power. And because we were in a military dictatorship because of the idea that we couldn't pay our debts.
So this is what I'm gathering from it.
And we were divided because the South wouldn't give us their property.
Isa,
Right?
by the way, is that the invisible enemy and the Democrats? Is that all? Is that who these people are?
Yeah.
Oh shit! The shit just makes sense, bro. You just connected a lot of dots for me, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. But this is what I gathered from that. It's like I want I want someone to tell me the basics of what I'm involved in right now, but you guys are telling me, and not just you, what I'm gathering from all this research in this topic is that no, I can't just tell you the basics. What I'm going to need for you to understand how to operate in the world legally and understand all this law and all the ins and outs is I'm going to need you to watch every episode of a 1,000 episode long soap opera. Learn
Yo, you
all
want
the learn all,
you
one
want,
sec, please. Learn all the characters, all the times they've cheated on their husbands with what person, all the times they've gotten fights and breakups and made deals and agreements and went on dates and every single action this soap opera has had with all the characters. And then finally, if you watch the 1,000 episodes of the soap opera and memorize the whole thing, then you'll know what you're doing. And it's like, I don't want to have to watch 1,000 episodes of a soap opera in order to understand just the basics of how to operate legally in the world. That's
Yo, check it
stupid.
out. The most basics is Matthew 5:25. Of the
The
Bible, dude.
Bible stuff again?
Yep. Matthew 5:25. The Bible's like an original law
Yeah,
book.
that's not good. That's not going to help me operate too much
Well,
though,
then there you
because
go.
they've
That's cool, man. And I'm just saying, he said you wanted advice to how to deal with the legal world. Well, like Matthew 5:25, he says, "Agree with thine adversary quickly, right? Lest you be brought before the way with him and taken to the jailer." Right? And like it's this idea of like it's really like conditional acceptance. It's like when Christ was asked, are you the
wait.
king of the Jews? When Christ
You
was
just
asked, are you the king?
come
Let
on.
me tell you real quick. When Christ was asked,
Y-
are you the king of the Jews? He said, "Is it you that says that, or did somebody tell you?" He directed his question properly. He didn't just sit here and go yes or no or this or that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, that's where the answers really are in a lot of ways. But that's what gets people trying to legitimize that with case law and all the rest of the reason why you got to watch all the documentaries or whatever, the whole season kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to what you said. I understand your point, and it doesn't help me at all.
I mean, that's cool. I don't know. Have you ever heard of?
That's not basics. You know that?
No, no, no. I get it.
That's no.
Do you know who Robert Menard is?
No, I don't.
Robert Menard has a great, kind of a document, or like a little seminar that he's got, and it's just great. And he's from Canada, and he had to like fight to get his daughter back, and it's just a really kind of cool
One more
story.
episode of the soap opera.
Well, I mean, like you could look at it like that, or it's just like knowledge. It's just like watching like a Michio Kaku video or some other kind of thing that you're just like, all right, let me check out what this guy's got to say. It's just
Yeah,
something
Sophia.
to.
Sophia got seduced by her doctor when she went in for that breast exam, and
Well, I
then
mean, like,
they went out to Whizzy
yeah, but
Burger, and
here's the
she
thing,
ordered
like,
the fries and he ordered the steak. Oh
right? But
wow, that's true.
you
Like
sound like
that.
you sound like someone where if I was like, that chick's hot over there, I'm gonna go talk to her. You're like, nah, you could never pull her. She's just a whatever. Da, 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 da.
No,
Why
no,
even
no.
why
Don't get
even
me wrong.
try anymore?
Don't get me
Women are
wrong.
just evil.
Don't get me wrong.
You
Uh,
know what I'm saying, Doc?
don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that you're not going to get anywhere doing that because everywhere you look, you'll find teachers who suck at teaching. That's all I see pretty much on every topic out there that's important to study. Like, there's not, like, I don't know. I just
That's
feel like
because
people
you're not
suck.
supposed to be taught, Fundy. You're just supposed to learn whatever there is. It's like I don't think like you have like the mission, like whatever this place is, bro. Like you have to save yourself, bro. Like it is meant to sound
Well,
selfish, and it gives the
I'm with you.
connotation that is negative, but it really
No, I'm with you.
isn't.
No, I'm
You
with you there,
understand?
man. Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree with you.
Professor Dave is a good teacher.
He's more of a YouTube personality, in my opinion, than an actual teacher.
He's literally
He's not a professor.
he's literally a teacher.
Where?
Yeah, you missed my point. It's not
Listen,
really what I was
if
commentating on.
listen, yeah. She's talking about teaching, which literally anybody can teach, right? And she's gonna try to blur the lines between teacher and teach, and it's gonna be a whole thing. Just ignore it. Let's continue having our conversation.
No, not anyone, not just anyone can be a teacher. That's not true.
Well, that's not important. We agree.
So it's not important.
That's not important to this conversation, but I agree with you. Not everyone can be a teacher,
I,
and
I
and what I see, and what I was saying out there, and maybe you'll agree with it if I put it this way, is that I see a lot of people fulfilling the role as teacher who shouldn't be.
well, you shouldn't look to them as teachers.
Well, yeah, that's my discernment. I try to use it.
You should go to like MIT, but um, you can take courses online, right? You can take courses at the local community college, right? That's where you would learn things. You're not
So, is there any way that this conversation is not gonna revert back to some sort of authority, Brenda? Is there any possible way that somebody that didn't earn some sort of PhD or diploma or degree, like, is it possible that, I mean, can you give me one scientist that isn't famous, that doesn't have PhDs? Just one name.
What I'm saying is that I in my life I've pretty much never met a good teacher, like someone who's good at teaching any material.
and
I think it's a lost art. People don't really think about the the proper delivery and the proper order to deliver things in. A lot of people just go through a textbook, or if it's something that there isn't a book on, it's from themselves. They don't know how to organize their thoughts and deliver it in the correct order and frame it in the right manner. People suck at teaching. It's a lost art.
well, that's I had good teachers.
So what do you suggest, Fundy? What do you suggest then?
Well, I think that there has to be a sort of philosophy. Like, how many teachers study the philosophy of teaching? Right?
All of
None
them
of
do.
them.
All of them do.
Well, I
See,
guess
I
we
think
disagree
I
then.
think you guys are mystifying teaching, right? I think anybody can teach anybody anything at any given moment, right?
No,
Anybody could come on this Discord and just say something that we have never heard of, and that will be teaching. The problem is, you guys, I think, are conflating between this kind of mythical teacher that is going to grab his little alumni and is going to mold them into that. Bro, that is some mainstream media kind of Disney version of what a teacher. The only thing a teacher does is to show you something, right? And explain it the best way he can. And to say that it isn't the proper way, it is to say that your way would be the proper way. And since there are millions of people on Earth, I would say that a lot of people would disagree that your way would be the proper way. So it is very
Yeah.
suggestive. All of this shit.
No, you're right, Matrix. People learn best in different ways, which means the teacher kind of has to be paired up with the student for it to go as best as possible, right? And the teacher kind of has to analyze the student and kind of form the delivery around their analysis of their student, how they think the information will be best delivered and absorbed, right? But we can't always have personalized gurus, right? That's a dream.
yeah. So what Matrix said, that anybody can just say anything and teach people, is just completely wrong. That's just not what teaching is. Saying something isn't teaching somebody anything.
Brenda, that's not true. I've learned stuff from you.
No, we're talking about teaching, being a teacher. My father was a teacher for 40 years. Remember,
That's the difference, Brenda. Hold on, before you go on your rant. That's the difference when you're talking about teacher and teaching. These are two different things.
no, they're not.
Yeah, your grandson could teach you how to run like your computer, maybe. Doesn't he's not a professor
We're talking.
necessarily. I think that's what he's getting to. But anyway, we're digressing into an infinite digression.
And didn't I call it? Didn't I call it from the beginning that she was gonna do this whole shit? This same section. It's a script. It's like a
No, you
script.
don't have to call it out. You don't have to call it out. Brenda's the shit. Brenda's fine.
I
I
think
think I just think like let's say like this though, Fundy, like to get back to kind of where we were at. It's like if I tell you like the idea that okay, like Maxwell v. Dow is case law that says, United States citizens aren't protected under the first 8 amendments. Like, do you just poo poo that information and just say that's not what I wanted?
No, no. I'll say that's a golden nugget, or that's a gourmet entree, but I can't digest it yet because I've been so confused, so lied to, so misled, and not properly educated on everything leading up to that. In fact, I've been lied to about everything
check
leading
this
up to
out.
that for that to have a context for me to even absorb it into. So whenever you meet someone who says, "Man, I'm so clueless. Everything I know, everything I've been told seems like a lie," what you should do is say, "Hey, this is where I can point to you for a proper breakdown of the basics, because there's nothing more important than setting a solid foundation." So I'll ask you, where is the best delivery you're aware of? One sec. Where is the best delivery you know of the basics?
All right, I'm gonna do
The
it right now.
foundation of it.
I'm gonna do it right now.
You're gonna give it to me?
Yeah, man. Where do you live, dude?
That's not important. Let's go with America.
Right. Okay, so check it out, right? So if you're gonna say, so check it out. So if you were gonna tell me, let's say, like, or if you thought I was asking you, like, 123 B Street in fucking, wherever it stand, like, what I'm saying is that, like, you technically, right? Don't you like? I mean, to be real scientific about it, do you or do you not live in your body?
I have many different versions of you that I use depending on who I'm talking to. That word has
Right.
multiple definitions to me.
Right, but okay, so like the ultimate you, right? Does your ultimate you like live in your body?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, how does that answer his question? Fundy was asking about basics.
Well, my point is this: is that our system happens to look at you as like a spirit living in a body. So if you were to stand before, like, let's say, a judge and say that you lived at 123 B Street, that judge would. It's kind of like if you were to stand in a room that said "In God We Trust" and they said, "Where do you live?" and you just disgraced the creator by saying you lived at 123 B Street, it's almost like you're lying. So when you've taken a position, an initial stance of where you think you live based on a fucking lie in a court, in a room that says "In God We Trust," which says you're a spirit that lives in your body, and how could you fucking live anywhere else? Then it shows you're not up to speed with your scripture and maybe not worthy of salvation or some kind of fucking Christian thing.
There's nothing in the law to support what you just said. Nothing.
Is the
Nothing.
Bible a law book? Is the Bible a law book?
No.
Their entire
It's not
You're gonna say no,
supposed
the
to.
Bible's not a law book?
It's not
It's not.
supposed to be in the Bible. These are the kind of things that you're just supposed to understand, bro. This is the difference between shitty lawyers and good lawyers. This is why a prostitute could get caught fucking 5 men, and a good lawyer would get you out, while a shitty one would have you serving time, because they understand the difference. The things that are not said, they understand it. And people like you that say, "Oh, this is not said," of course, because it is the unseen world. You have to be able to understand it.
It is said though, because the Bible is a law book. That's fact.
Bible is not.
The problem
Not in the
is
U.S. It
they
isn't.
don't, but they
The
don't
fuck
look
you
at the
talking
Bible
about?
like that. They don't look at the Bible like that, Issa.
Well,
They would expect it from some sort of law book.
Show me a place where it says the Bible is not a law book.
Show me a place where it says it is in the U.S. laws.
Let me see if I can pull some up for you.
It's a sacred text.
Oh
The Bible has
boy.
not been adopted as law. That's
Have you ever seen a
absurd.
Bible in a courtroom?
It's used to swear a witness in. It's used for the purpose of the oath. But that's it.
Why do you think
And
they
if
do
you
that?
object to it, you don't have to swear on the Bible if you don't want to. You can
But
object
it
to
doesn't
that.
matter. But listen, it doesn't matter what the person decides to swear or not to swear. We're talking about the course here. Why is it that you think that they go out of their way to have the Bible and have you swear on it? Why do you think that is? You think that's for aesthetics?
Because we have our basic law that was grounded in Western jurisprudence,
Yeah,
common law, which had its roots
is judges' interpretation of
the Bible,
of law.
jurisprudence, common law.
And what do you think that they're using as a reference? What do you think? Take a wild guess.
Common law.
Common law, which does not incorporate the Bible as law.
Okay, so what is the book that every judge has to like the right of them? What is that book
There are
called?
judges that probably don't have the Bible. You don't have to have the Bible if you're Muslim.
I'm not saying that they have to.
If you go to court and you want to
most of
swear
them have
in on
that
something
right
else,
next to
you
it.
can do
Excuse
so.
me, guys. Hey, I want to get back to my question, and I'll narrow it down just a little bit. So, Issa, man, where can I get told the basics about what I'm involved in with the law and stuff, and can you highlight the section of that information wherever you're going to send me about the role the Bible plays, the basic role the Bible plays in court? Who clearly can explain that to me? What website can just lay it out straight for me so I understand
we have an ecclesiastes.
the role the Bible plays in the legal system?
Well, I mean, it's a
'Cause
part of American tradition, I suppose, and that's really what I'm coming across looking it up.
No. Where can I go to be given this information? And please highlight the section that explains clearly. Like I was saying, I've never met a good teacher who can give me a section that clearly explains any part of anything.
Okay, how about this? If you go to a court, a court of law, do they not offer you the Bible to swear on?
Yes, and you are not required to swear on the Bible.
Is it not the only book? Excuse me. Is it not the book that they offer to you first?
Yes, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't make it part
Why
of
do they
the
do
law.
that? Why do they do that?
That wasn't your argument. That wasn't your argument.
No.
A different argument. You're moving the goalposts.
Why do they offer the Bible in a room that
Issa,
says God we trust?
Where can I go to find the basics laid out in bulletin
obvious.
points?
I don't know. It needs to be
Where can I go to find the basics laid out in bulletin points?
So that's okay.
Why do they bring the Bible then? Why is it the Bible?
You can swear on something else.
Can you tell me why?
You can swear on something else.
Can you tell me why it's the Bible?
You can swear on something else. It doesn't matter. It's tradition. It's not part of the actual fucking law. You are wrong.
What tradition?
It is not. The Bible has not been incorporated into common law.
What tradition?
Yeah, Christian traditions.
Right, the Christian tradition, right?
The Bible is not incorporated in the common law. That was your argument, and you are wrong.
America was founded as a Christian nation. You can't deny that. If you try to deny that,
I never said that. I never said that. That's irrelevant to his point.
It's exactly
That's irrelevant to his point.
That is his point
on the internet.
Everything.
Come on.
That's his point. His point is that the American government, 1776, was founded as a Christian nation.
He said the Bible was incorporated into our law. That it was part of our law. And it's not. It is not. You cannot go to jail for breaking the Bible. You cannot go to jail. You cannot be charged with a crime for breaking the Bible.
You're just ranting and confused at this point.
Bro, this is what you just said was so retarded, bro.
That's his fucking claim, asshole.
But you're saying that somebody's gonna go to jail for hypothetically for destroying, like you could even destroy a law book and not go to jail.
He's saying that you can go to jail for violating the Bible.
I'm saying
he didn't say that. You said that.
Does the Bible
That's
say,
what he said.
Hold on.
He said the Bible is law.
excuse me, are the
The
Ten
Bible
Commandments
is not law.
are the Ten Commandments not what the basis of our like system of not stealing and not doing? Isn't that the
That's
origin of our?
irrelevant. That's irrelevant to your point. You're moving the goalposts.
Bro,
Good job,
how is it irrelevant
And
when
how is
it's
it irrelevant?
based on the same thing that we're trying to prove to you? How are you just gonna take one of our evidence and say, man, it's irrelevant and just like slide
That's
it over
not
like
his
nothing?
claim. That wasn't his claim.
Steel City.
His claim was the Bible.
You're just triggered right now, and that's okay.
Steel City, bro. Hey,
You live in a Christian
I got no
nation.
dog. Hey,
It's
Steel
the
City, I
10
got
laws
no
of
dog in
Moses.
this
Good job.
fight. Well, hold on, guys. Steel City, I got no dog in this fight because I think the whole thing's one big joke. But I was trying to look into this before you hop into the room, and I found this. I'll just read like the first paragraph. It's pretty short. So, basically, I searched like the origin of the Bible in relationship to the legal system, and this article says the use of the Bible in Anglo-American jurisprudence should not be underestimated. In structuring a society to secure the greatest liberty and promote the greatest happiness, the Bible is viewed not only as relevant, but also as an authoritative guidance for that task. The present chapter will focus on how biblical principles and law and the Bible itself were used and acknowledged in the documentary history of England and America. So I just want to highlight that point where it says it should not be underestimated.
Fundy, you should drop the mic at this moment.
I'm not
Even more
underestimating
than
it.
that, just goddamn, dude, on their riot shields, they put Matthew 5:6 as they're cracking your skull open. And you think the Bible isn't connected to the federal government? What is wrong with your mind? What is wrong with your thinking?
Really,
They put Bible passages on their batons.
Now,
and you think somehow
where are you getting this from?
Hold on, let's not confuse. Hold on, let's not confuse two things. Let's not confuse the religion, the religious aspect of the Bible. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the teachings in the Bible, that these are what the laws are based on, not in the religious aspect of it.
Yeah, you want biblical Sharia law, don't you?
Oh, there it comes.
Yeah, you want biblical.
That's what you got. You got that right now. How are you going to change it? Yes, you do. How are you going to change it? How are you going to change it? You're going to give more power to the federal government and just accept everything they put out?
True,
is there a way, hold on, Brenda, is there a way that you can participate in the conversation that we're having without you having to deter or I mean, unless you're getting paid for it, because hypothetically you could be, right? Because you seem to always come in and shit on the conversation. Just participate in the conversation that's happening. Or is that too much of a bother for you?
So check this out, guys. Check this out, please. This article goes to list some documents, some historical documents that have some, I can't tell you how great or lesser of their meaning it is or their relevance, but this is a list of some historical documents that to some degree play a role in American law. It says Magna Carta, June 15th, 11th century. Then it says the Confirmatio Cartarum, 1297. I have no idea what that is, but apparently you have to know about that to understand the law. American colonial documents says ordinances for Virginia, and I won't go on too much. The Charter of Massachusetts Bay, March 1629. I don't know. Do I need to read through all these to understand how to use the law properly, or is there just someone who can point me, or is there just someone who can like tell me the basics or point me towards the basics laid out somewhere, or do I need to read all
the
these
basics? What you're reading is the basics, bro. What you're reading is the basis, bro. This is the thing that you have to. It is an origin point. You just have to understand what they're trying to tell you. It is regardless of whether the characters and the events are real or happen how they happen. They're trying to tell you a story so you can understand something, right? But this doesn't work. It doesn't. Hold on. Let me finish. This doesn't work in a way that most people can explain it, right? It's just a situation that you have to understand it to be able to apply it, right? But like you say, you have to be able to see the bigger picture. What it seems to me like you want to see the bigger picture, and what I see from trying to understand it, just like yourself, is you can't just see the bigger picture. You have to go through it, bro. You have to go through the steps to get to the top.
Yeah, like I said, instead of just having basics laid out, you got to watch all 1,000 episodes of a soap opera and get to know each of the characters and all the relationships they've ever had and backstabbing and friendships they've formed. But it's even more complicated than that because in each of these documents that a person trying to understand law would read through, it says here in their description that each one of them uses has a heavy use of like biblical terminology and references and like justifications with the Bible in each of these documents. And I don't care about using the Bible in law, but it seems I'm being forced to use the Bible to understand the law. And I don't appreciate that. It seems like a big joke.
Why not
No, bro, it isn't a joke. It's what the laws are based on. So it isn't that you're learning about law through the Bible. The Bible is the thing that depict that gives the law to them, right? So the whole don't worry about the laws. The laws are secondary. Go to the origin, the Bible.
why not
I don't care, you know, about I don't care about the Bible that way.
Holy crap! Talk about people who shouldn't be giving legal advice. That was don't follow that, or you're going to go to jail.
Oh, well, Fundy, wouldn't you just go to some place like Khan Academy, Coursera?
Nah, because there's a problem with that, Brenda.
Um,
There's a problem with them. They're not going to give you the esoteric background that'll allow you to have the deeper understanding.
Wouldn't you get that later?
No. I want the basics, and if the basics include things that are usually occulted and hidden, I'm not a child who needs to have things postponed because you can't handle the implications or it would be too complex. It's not going to be too complex for me to understand. I don't care what you need to bring to my face. Just tell me, where do I start? And give me all the information up front. Don't delay it because you think that I'll have a harder time like accepting some truth or a philosophical approach to law. Just someone explain it to me simply and clearly, please, no matter how strange it may be.
It seems to me you don't really want what you're asking for. You want the basics, but then you say you want esoteric. And esoteric isn't basic. The
Yes, it
esoteric,
is.
no, it isn't.
Okay, let me explain this to you then, Brenda. What are the basics on what determines the date of Easter, when Easter is celebrated? How do they choose the date?
What does that have to do with the law? That's a religious.
Because the basics
Yeah, but first you need, how
of
about
when
this? Hold on. First you
Easter
need to
is
know about Easter.
celebrated
First you need to know
has
about Easter and the Easter bunny and Easter baskets.
No,
And then you have
no
to
you
go through those are the basics. And then and after you learn about the basics, then you
but
can get into like Ishtar and stuff, right?
that's not what he asked.
no. Let me just say, okay, Easter is the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox.
Yeah, who says so?
That's how it's decided. That's
By
what
But it
everyone will tell
starts
you.
off as the Easter bunny, bro. It starts off as Easter bunny baskets.
Those are the basics of when Easter is celebrated. The first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox.
According to whom, Fundy?
That is when Easter is celebrated.
In the Bible and
It's not in the Bible.
And also the federal government. One for one correlation.
It's the Catholic Church that decides that.
Which they took from the Bible.
No, it's not in the Bible. No, it isn't.
Their interpretation of the Bible said that's the date it will be done. And the federal government said, certainly, Toby.
Right. So it was decided by the church orthodoxy.
In the Bible. Who got it from the Bible?
It's not in the Bible.
No, they got it from the Bible. So take it up with them.
The date is not in the Bible.
They took it from the Bible somehow.
The date is not in the Bible.
Whatever they did, they figured it out, and they said that's the date.
The date
in the Bible.
The date is not in the Bible.
Yeah, they tell you as above, so below. They tell you right from the very beginning. Everything they do is backed by Scripture.
The date is not in the Bible.
Okay, well, go tell them that.
It's not the question. The question is.
The question is, the Catholic Church takes all their doctrine from the Bible.
That's not the question.
You're not listening.
Brenda's right here.
Yeah, the question was, what is the basics of when we celebrate Easter? And
The
the basic
Bible.
is that the Catholic Church is who determined when that was. It's a religious holiday.
Right. Well, thank you for that additional detail, Brenda. I agree. We're all celebrating the holiday,
What does
dude.
that have to
You
do
know,
with the law, Bundy? What does that have to do with the law?
because
Federal
I'm telling
holiday.
you,
Federal holidays
'cause
are the law. That's
I was
federal
telling
law.
you, it's something that we're all going to be exposed to. You're going to go into, Target or whatever, and you're going to see them selling different things. There's no way to avoid its influence, just like the law. And just like Easter, just like the law, it's rooted in things that are esoteric and aren't going to be explained to you, up front, because it's not necessary. All they need you to do is be aware enough to pull the levers and push the buttons. You're not given a deep understanding because it's not necessary in order to perform your task and participate in it.
Bundy,
Fundy,
there's nothing esoteric about when we celebrate Easter. Even if they got it from the Bible, then that's just a simple.
You're so
Not
funny, Brenda. That's
Brenda,
good.
Brenda, Brenda,
Yes.
So
Brenda, Brenda,
where do they get it
Brenda.
from
Let me
then?
explain it.
If
Let
not
me,
the Bible, where?
Brenda.
Brenda.
Let me explain
Rand.
this, okay?
Rand. It was a last minute. I could tell
Whatever.
Brandon was working up to a squawk. Just want to say not the Bible, not the Bible, not the Bible over and over again, and then leave. I mean, seriously, every single president ever in the history of America swore on the Bible, said, God help me uphold God given rights. Let me uphold this Constitution inspired by God, written by man. Like, I mean, these atheists make it seem like somehow atheism was ever part of the American experience. The only time atheism was part was when Nixon was watching you guys thinking you were communist conspirators. That's the only time atheism ever popped up in the American experience. Yeah, the same guy who landed on the moon.
That's what's crazy with like I don't know if Fundy's still here, like about that Bouvier's dictionary with like the definition of human and shit. Like it's weird. You know what I mean? Like they look at the term human as it's like I guess we look up the term monster. And it's like that which can't own land and shit. It's like crazy and like I often think like that's the distinction between the human and the and man, and that's why they want you to get human rights. They want everyone to get the
Oh
UN's
yeah,
fucking human rights because that like codifies the fact that you have no way out. Like in our system now, because let's say it goes back to Rome, they respect the ecclesiastical concept, and they understand that if you can do both sides of the law, i.e., the private side and the public side, i.e., the public side being like the charges, the documents, the protocol, and the private side being, this like understanding that, you even may have done wrong. Like this idea that you're not trying to be some bad person out there. Like, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's like like the judges have a compassionate side to them, but you also have to give them a way to give that compassion to you by executing your paperwork correctly. That's why they'll always tell people you should probably get a lawyer because you might hurt yourself. Because people don't know, and it's so severe. And like I look at it like when you're in a courtroom and you say something, it's like that stenographer is turning your words into like brick, like writing your words on stone kind of thing. And it's so severe, and they look at it like that, and they hold that kind of a high regard for it, to maintain its severity, man. I don't know.
This is the only thing I take from this. A lot of these conversations with atheists and stuff. I don't know what happened to them. I mean, through the 70s and the 80s, atheists were so powerful. They were constantly speaking truth to power, holding the federal government to account for everything they did, constantly taking the government to court, constantly suing them. Prove it, prove it, prove it. Like the five most like George Carlin, like going against like decency and swear words and all that stuff. They did all these things. They advanced the human condition so far, and suddenly in like the early 90s, they did an about face, and this third wave atheism suddenly became about complacency. Like the government can do no wrong.
Yeah,
But
that guy.
how can you hold that together? The government claims divine authority. That is contradictory to atheism.
You know that guy McGowan who wrote that book about Laurel Canyon and how like the CIA created the whole fucking hippie movement.
Yeah.
And like the idea that like they generated all this shit so that everyone would pay attention. The idea that like culture is downstream from politics, or culture is upstream from politics. And like the idea that like if like so they control the culture, and then they've got everyone like these icons, ready to get and people are ready to follow them into the fucking slaughterhouse.
Yeah, think about this, right? Before George Carlin started speaking up, you couldn't say the word tit on national television. That was a crime. It was a crime to say the word tit. It was a crime to say shit. And you got like or piss. I can't. Crap! I gotta look up the other one. I'm drawing a blank right now. I just remember those two off the top of my head. Some of them are actually kind of bad still. I think it was like cunt is one of them. But anyway, so look how that's what atheism used to be about. Challenging every single word that came out of the federal government's mouth. If the federal government said it, the atheists challenged every word of it. And now somehow they say whatever they said about 9/11, the atheist just defends it. Like somehow it was gospel. Like what is wrong with you? Can't you just open a history book?
No, you know what though, man? I think it's like it's really scary to admit that.
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go.
We forget. Like we forget.
Hey, I feel bad. Oh, real quick, guys. I should have memorized these words. That's how powerful it is. These words were crimes. It was a crime to say these 7 words. It was an actual crime. You could go to jail if you said one of those words.
Right, but you could also argue that it's part of like the degenerate shit. So whatever. But like, I don't know.
God,
I just think not that I'd say that, but like at the same stroke, it's like I don't know. I don't really check for them like that.
Can you imagine? You said the word piss and you're going to jail, like PISS. Now people say I'm just taking the piss out of you. Like it's just part of the everyday vernacular. That's how powerful atheism used to be. That is what they did. They did that. Not Christians, not social justice warriors. Atheists did that. And today, the atheist is like, what is wrong with you? Don't you know the pathway that the people paved for you to just lay down this groundwork? It's like you'll almost feel like you're supposed to save us from this like 1984 despotic nightmare. What are you doing siding with them?
Yeah, no, I don't really check for them, man.
Yeah, I know. I guess so. It kind of makes you think: were they ever about it? Were they ever really about it, or was it just some sort of showboating?
I don't know. I don't really get into talking about it. I like talking about the principles, fucking ideas. What the fuck? This shit, like the idea that forgiveness is the key and the currency and all this crazy cool stuff.
Well, most atheists have replaced the authority of God with the authority of government, so that's why they support all of it.
Yeah, it's what happened to them. That third wave atheism just somehow capitulated. They replaced deep thinkers with people like Hawkins and Dawkins and Sam Harris, just complete numbskulls who can't even form a sentence. And somehow people think these guys have doctorates. They're drug addicts. They're just degenerates. And you got the like Richard or Hawkins is a neocon. Just a straight up neocon. And somehow that is the guy that you're going to advocate for atheism, a neoconservative. You're going to go social Darwinism that hard that you're going to just jump on the boat of some British neocon who then denounces his citizenship and moves to Texas and just like, I mean, it's like, come on. I just feel like you just want to like wake them out of their slumber. It's like, atheist, we need you right now, okay? Like, do what you did in the past. Wake up. Fighting against flat Earth isn't going to save your movement. Speaking truth to power will. It's going to get to the point where people won't even know what the term atheism means anymore. Like, they'll just ask them. Like, someone will ask, what does atheism mean? Like, I don't know, some sort of internet meme.
Honestly, I think the relativism has invaded their mind, and basically, what does the good book say, right?
Yeah, they went too far, right? Is that what you're saying? That they ended up cannibalizing their own ideology and create this sort of circle firing squad where nothing's real. It's all relative. Like, is that true? Well, yes, that's true. There'll be like, there's no truth. Is that true? Well, yeah. Well, how could there no truth be truth if no truth is true?
And that's when they start yelling at the top of their lungs and accuse you of violence, which the only way that you could have violence with speech is if the piercing scream that comes out of the green hair's mouth, actually damages your eardrum. So they're the one committing violence.
Yeah, it's getting hard pressed to even find someone who says like they identify as atheist. You normally hear them identify themselves as like spiritual or alternative, new age religion. It's like actually somebody who's like, hey, I'm an atheist. You're like, really? Let me hear that. I want to hear that opinion because that's like becoming rare.